Welcome to You Matter Network, a space where real stories are held gently, not judged. This platform exists for moments when silence feels too heavy and carrying it alone is no longer an option. This is a network of real people, real choices, real solutions, and real consequences. I'm Patricia Holyfield. Today's story may divide opinions, and that's okay. Yes, this is a space for honesty, even when it's messy. But let's approach this carefully. People are dealing with real mental health struggles. Before we go further, take a breath. If you've ever made a decision you still replay, you're not alone here. If you believe people are more than their worst moment, consider subscribing. You're welcome here, exactly as you are, and I care about you. Today, we're holding space for one writer and a moment that still hasn't let her go. This is one story, but many people will see themselves inside it. This writer didn't ask to be defended. She asked to be heard. Marvin, please, let's begin.
Okay, Patricia, this hit me hard. It's familiar, messy, and painfully human. Some will feel sympathy, some will wonder, how did it get this far? This isn't a story about love, it's about fear, secrecy, and the lengths someone will go to avoid being seen. Let's listen. It says, "Good afternoon, Patricia. This happened to me early last spring, and I still don't know how to sit with it properly. I'm writing anonymously because I feel it's safest that way. I was seeing a married man. I know how that sounds. I know what people will say before they even finish reading. But at the time, he told me his marriage was over in everything but paperwork. He said his wife had moved out temporarily and was visiting family out of state. I believed him because I wanted to believe him. I felt safe around him, or maybe I just wanted to feel chosen. Looking back now, that alone should have been my warning. That afternoon, he invited me to his house. It was a quiet suburban neighborhood, neat lawns, parked cars lined perfectly, the kind of place where nothing dramatic ever seems to happen, the kind of place you'd expect family dinners and calm weekends, not secrets. He said we had the whole day. I walked in like I belonged there. I even took my shoes off at the door. I didn't feel like I was doing something reckless. I felt calm. That calm is what scares me now. We hadn't even settled in when his phone rang. I watched his face change. Not panic at first, just calculation. That kind of pause that tells you someone is already deciding what lie to tell. Then he said, very casually, "My wife is on her way back. She came earlier than expected." My chest tightened so fast it felt like someone had wrapped a cord around it. Before I could even ask a question, before my brain could catch up, he opened a narrow pantry beside the kitchen and said, "Just go in here for a bit." That was how I entered the smallest space of my life. I need to say this clearly. I am claustrophobic, deeply. I don't like crowded elevators. I don't like fitted jackets. I avoid tight spaces whenever I can. And suddenly I was standing inside a pantry packed floor to ceiling with bulk groceries, storage bins, boxes, paper towels, canned goods, bottles of oil, bags of dry food, everything stacked with no breathing room. The door shut behind me. The darkness felt heavy. The air felt thick. I started sweating immediately. My hands were shaking. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears, loud enough to scare me. Then I heard her voice. She walked in laughing, talking, sounding so normal it made me feel unreal, like I had slipped into the wrong version of reality. At some point, she mentioned letting the dogs out, and my knees almost buckled. I honestly thought I might pass out right there between the shelves. I started whisper praying, bargaining, promising things I didn't even understand myself. Time stopped meaning anything. Minutes didn't feel like minutes anymore. Minutes dragged into hours. I didn't know how long I'd been inside, but my body knew. My body kept score. I felt dizzy. I was starving. I hadn't eaten since morning. I found a box of dry cereal and started eating it with my hands. No milk, no water, just crunching quietly in the dark, terrified of making noise. I was so thirsty my mouth hurt. The only liquid I could find was a couple of canned drinks, and I hated myself for needing them, but my body was shaking and I felt like I might collapse. I could hear more voices at some point, Female voices, laughter, plates clinking, music playing softly. Life continuing normally while I stood hidden like something that shouldn't exist, like I had reduced myself to an object that needed to be stored away. I found a small container and used it when I couldn't hold it anymore. I cried afterwards, silently, wiping my face on my sleeve, embarrassed even though no one could see me. I kept texting him from inside that pantry like someone losing their mind. Sometimes he replied, sometimes he didn't. When he didn't, the fear became unbearable. At some point, the house went quiet. It was very late. I had been inside for hours. My legs were numb, my head was pounding, I felt feverish. Every small sound made me flinch. My claustrophobia was screaming by then. I started imagining worst-case scenarios I couldn't shut off. What if she opened the door? What if the dogs smelled me? What if I fainted and couldn't call for help? What if I became one of those stories people whisper about later? Finally, close to dawn, the door opened. He held the dogs back and motioned for me to come out quickly. His wife was asleep upstairs. I stepped out on shaky legs, moving like someone sneaking out of a crime scene. I didn't look around, I didn't say anything, I just wanted to disappear. He walked me to the door and whispered that he'd call me later. He didn't. After that night, he stopped responding to my messages entirely. The fever hit me fully. My body ached. I couldn't eat properly for days. I couldn't even use the bathroom normally. I laughed yesterday while telling myself this story out loud, because if I don't laugh, I feel like something inside me will break. Sometimes I randomly remember myself standing in that pantry and my chest tightens all over again. I keep thinking about the fact that someone's wife slept peacefully while I stood hidden feet away, terrified and shaking. I keep thinking about how easily he went back to normal life. I'm scared of how close I came to being exposed, humiliated, possibly harmed, recorded, or worse. I don't know what this says about me. I don't know what lesson I'm supposed to extract yet. I know people will say this served me right. Maybe part of me believes that too. But I also know I haven't really been able to move on. That night still follows me. That's why I'm writing you. I'm restless. I panic sometimes. I replay it in my head. I just need a word, maybe something to help me calm down. I don't want to ever be hidden again, but I don't know how to forgive myself.
What I hear here isn't wickedness, it's fear, poor judgment, and someone shrinking inside. And like, honestly, this wasn't love. It was secrecy, panic, and a woman losing herself. You might feel two ways about this, and that's okay. You deserve a front door life, not storage room love. If you have a word for her, gentle or firm, leave it in the comments. So much to learn here, and accountability can't be ignored. A single word from you could lift some of this weight. Be honest, be human in the comments. If this space feels real to you, please subscribe, turn on notifications. Real people matter here. Stories like this need spaces that can hold truth with care. Stay with us. We take this slowly with thoughtfulness. Wherever you are tonight, hold your dignity close. Be safe with your heart. You matter.